There aren't enough breweries right now to sustain the demand for craft beer in Texas. Every brewery in Texas is expanding. They're buying new tanks, they're finding a new location that's bigger and easier for them to get to market.
You know, all the breweries we talk to are selling every drop they make, and their biggest problem is trying to increase capacity in order to keep up with demand.
Texas is a big state, and most people here still drink macro beer, which can be seen as an opportunity. The question is whether the market will grow as fast as the places open up.
I think the increase that we're seeing in market share can absolutely be sustained. I think we can grow at the pace that we're growing now, definitely in sales. I don't think that we can grow at the pace that we're growing in breweries opening.
We have 50 or 60 breweries in planning in Texas right now. There's probably 60 that are open right now, and a year and a half or two ago, there was probably only 30. We can't sustain that growth rate because we'd have 1,000 breweries in Texas in 5 or 6 years, so.
It's definitely going to have to plateau at some point. And I think the breweries that do survive and the ones that are kind of shaken out will determine ultimately on the quality of the liquid that they're putting in the can.
You know, you can spend so much money on marketing and so much money on this and that, but if you're not making good beer, you will not survive.
You know, you got to make great beer first.
Making great beer is not enough, though.
No.
It's not enough. I thought for a while it could be enough, and I've seen, even I was this way at Live Oak. I just thought, you know, we make such great beer, people will just be knocking down the door. But it really was something where there's branding and all the logos and all the marketing involved.
And the service. Service is big, you know, you got to support them too. You got to get in there, you got to get them to put your beer on tap, and then you got to come in and you got to take care of your lines and your faucets and make sure they don't run out of beer.
A lot of these breweries that start up, they are excited and they'll make promises they can't deliver on because they didn't get their production up to speed. You don't want to piss off your retailer, right? You want to keep your retailer happy.
Bars are pretty demanding that if they're going to allocate you a tap handle, that you have to be willing, especially if it's successful and you're making a good product, to continue to make that and keep them supplied in a timely manner. I mean, that's been my problem occasionally with, you know, as new breweries start up. Oh, we're out of that. Everybody likes that.
You like to sell as much beer as you can, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you have enough product to supply the customers that have signed up and are, you know, standing behind you.
You have to learn how to manage that growth. It doesn't just happen.
In a small business, you have to do everything right. And it's hard because there are not very many guys down there. So you better be a good accountant, you better be a good HR guy, you better be a good marketing person, you have to be a good salesperson, you better be good at operations. And if you get any part of that wrong, then your business is at risk. And the more you get wrong, the more at risk it is. You know, it's not enough just to make good beer, but it better look good and you better have good distribution and you better be able to promote it right so everybody knows what it is. And they're very subtle things, but if you're not getting it right, you might not make it.
I think a lot of these guys have approached it a little bit differently than we have, in that they've brought a lot of investors and a lot of money in. You know, at the end of the day, investors are called investors because they're making an investment and they want their returns. Those returns are way out in the future and sometimes longer than most investors really want. So I think after the shininess of the new brewery wears off, that a lot of these guys are going to have some financial struggles, but I think the ones that are making great beers and that did a lot of good planning from the onset will be able to keep their investors happy and keep growing their business.
I think the guys who are getting into the business, new guys getting into the business, I think they're smarter than we were. You know, they've certainly got more knowledge to draw from. They've certainly got more suppliers to use. They've certainly got more information to pull from. Access to consumers now in terms of social media. Did the internet exist when I started Pecan Street Lager? No, it did not.
You know, they were working in an environment where, you know, a pale ale was something like from a different planet, and you know, they paved a lot of the road for you know, newer breweries like ourselves. I think we actually have it a lot easier. I mean, there are a lot more breweries out there now, but in my opinion, it's easier now than before because people do know what craft beer is by and large, and you know, they're interested in flavor and diversity and choices when it comes to beer.
We have the population and the demographic now that we just didn't have in the 90s and the early 2000s.
It's like we're reaping the benefit of all the work we've done over all these years. People have been exposed, they've had good beer, been without good beer, seen good beer come back, and they're not going to let it go this time. And it's just very exciting. You know, really encourage all these people to keep us in good beer.